What's up, everyone? It is time for the Friday Carbon Diet Coach Live. Those of you on Instagram, God, you can see where I wear my hat today. Those of you who are on Instagram, I'm going to be on my Instagram for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to switch over to Carbon Diet Coach. So you can go ahead and ask me your questions here, and then once I'm in about 5 minutes, I'll move over to Carbon Diet Coach Instagram. But hey, Layne, love your hair. Cool. Appreciate it. It's I look back at my hair from 3 years ago and I cringe. How often should we reset the coach? You should not be resetting the coach, period. Unless basically reset the coach for Carbon Diet Coach exists only if you, when you signed up, if you did so much fuckery with the app, like of changing goals and like messing around with it, gaming it, that you've really messed up the coach and you need to reset it. If you reset the coach, you're not just changing your goal, you are wiping out all previous data. If you want to change the goal, go to settings. Oh God, no. There's shoot, now my mind's going blank. Oh, you go to settings, coach settings, change goal. That's it. Even if you're like on fat loss and you just want to change the rate of fat loss, go to settings, coach settings, change goal, and you can click fat loss again. Yeah. Sal, I should pay more taxes. Take that money you keep using to create jobs and give it to government for more wars and corruption. Yeah, exactly. That's my big fundamental thing. They're like, okay, cool. So I'm going to pay more taxes. And what makes you think the government is going to be effective at redistributing that to the people who actually would benefit from it? Because the empirical data says that they're not. But anyway, I digress. What do I think about MacroFactor? Well, I think Carbon must be doing some things really, really well, to be honest, because there are some features in there that looks like they took a lot of inspiration from Carbon. So I think imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I like Greg. I like Eric. And honestly, when you do good stuff, that's what people do. I mean, things get imitated. It is what it is. What I will say is that our app is the shit. And we have proven it with hundreds and thousands of results. But they're your dollars. If you want to try something else, hey, I can't stop you. And honestly, maybe there'll be people, it's like, some people like MyFitness, or, well, it's not a fair comparison. Some people like other coaching apps better than ours. But I would say on the whole, ours is the best. Now, there may be some people, especially if you're a tinkerer, just like some people like Android's better than Apple, but on the whole, the Apple is the most popular phone. Why? Because it's easy to use and it works. It works and it's easy to use. Now, a lot of people, there are still some people, millions of people who prefer Android because they want to tinker more. They want more freedom, more customization. Well, that's great. They have Android. And then there's Apple. We want to be Apple. Now, again, it's all good for you, the consumer. Like, it's going to force, I mean, this is not a surprise to us at Carbon. We knew that there was going to be other people coming out. But what I would say is look at our backgrounds. Look at what we've produced. Okay, so I have a PhD in nutritional sciences. I'm a 2-time national champion in powerlifting. As a pro natural bodybuilder who placed top 5 in the world as a pro natural bodybuilder. I've coached thousands of people, including people at the highest level of the Olympia. I've also helped people lose hundreds of pounds. My wife, world champion natural competitor, successful competitive powerlifter, masters in nutrition, coach thousands of people. Then look at Keith, Dude looks like an Abercrombie model and has coached hundreds of people, has a bachelor's in food science, and is a registered dietitian. I will take our credentials and our brain power and stack it up against anybody. And I just say, may the best app win. Okay, let's see here. I need you to start this sentence with, I'm not bragging or anything, but, well, I guess it is a little bit of bragging, but it's also, bragging is when you can't back it up with facts. These are objective facts, what I just listed. This isn't like, oh, I'm awesome and I'm better than everybody else. I didn't say that. I think Greg and Eric are extremely intelligent people. I'm just listing facts. Hey, Ian, do we need software developers? Listen, email us, support@joincarbon.com, and, we might take your resume. Let's see here. Ice cream flavor power rankings. Oh, it's going to be like, so cookies and cream isn't my favorite, but it's consistently my favorite. Meaning, if I go to different ice cream shops and I'm not sure, I know cookies and cream is always solid. But it's going to be something with crunch in it. Big fan of crunch. And I actually think I like gelato more than ice cream, if I'm being honest. All right, guys. Okay, let's see here. Facebook. Oh, pardon me. All right. All right, just got to jump on here on Carbon. And boom. Let's do this. Your opinion, best protein, no matter the cost, best bang for your buck. I'm biased because I sell a protein through my supplement company. But it just depends. If you don't have any kind of sensitivity to the lactalbumins in whey, then whey concentrate is probably your best bet because it's cheap and it's very effective. But the majority of people, I would say over 50%, don't tolerate a straight whey concentrate well. And so even like a blend of concentrate and isolate is probably going to be what I recommend for most people. Our protein is a whey protein isolate because whey protein isolate is able to be best digested by the vast majority of people because it filters out almost all the lactose. So it just depends on you, your digestion, what you value. Whey protein isolate also has less carbohydrate, less fat. Whey protein concentrate will typically have like 3 to 5 grams of fat and like 5 to 10 grams of carbohydrate if you're talking about 100% whey protein concentrate. What's up, Carbon Diet Coach? Instagram! Make sure you mash that like button. Give me some hearts. Helps it get seen by more people. how much more vegan protein should I eat to equate to omnivore protein recommendations? That just depends on the particular protein source that you're using. Now, if you are like trying to get all your protein from straight whole vegan sources of protein, it's going to be very, very difficult. One, because most of those vegan sources of protein are going to have quite a bit of carbohydrate and fat along with the protein content, which is going to make it hard to reach your protein goals while also not going over on calories. But what I would say is there are some good, like if you want to maximize muscle building with vegan protein, you're probably going to need to take an isolated protein, meaning like a protein powder, like some sort of like soy protein isolate. Pea protein, not quite as good. Potato protein isolate's actually amazing. It's just hard to find. Corn protein isolate's okay if you combine it with like a soy protein isolate. What I would say is that if you're worried about it, I would pump your protein up by 10, 20% if you can. But again, if you're trying to get it from intact vegan source, it can be very, very, very difficult. Plus, those are also less bioavailable in addition to being like lower quality in terms of the amino acid composition. Okay. Do you ever drink beer? Only every week. How can I track alcohol? Well, alcohol is a little bit interesting because metabolically it kind of acts like a carbohydrate, but in terms of the actual, like what the end product of metabolism is, it acts kind of like a fat, and which makes sense because it's 7 calories per gram. So alcohol is metabolized into acetyl-CoA is eventually what it gets into, which is the same thing that fats essentially get into. And so what I would recommend, 36 pounds down with carbon. Can't wait to see what the next 6 months will do. Hell yeah. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So what I recommend is that you take it from carbohydrate or fat or a combination of both. Now, what I will do is I will go online and find out a particular drink. Like most even craft beers will list their calories online somewhere. So let's say a craft beer that I want to track has, I don't know, 100 calories. Most craft beers don't have 100 calories, but let's say 200 calories, right? If I want to take it all from carbohydrate, I can track that as 50 grams of carbs. Or if I want to take it all from fat, I could track it as like 22 grams of fat. It would be a little off, but close. Or I could do a combination. So I could do like 11 grams. If I wanted to do half and half, I could do like 11 grams of fat and 25 grams of carbs. And that would also be suitable. So it really depends on where you want to draw it from, but you can take it from either one. Do you track every day or ever take a break? I track every day because it really is not difficult for me. Oh, shit. Pardon me. I track every day because it's really not difficult for me. So I pressed my screen and right then a banner came down and it screwed me up. I track every day because it's really not difficult for me. It's not fatiguing, especially using carbon where you can just take it and scan a food label and pop it's right in there. So yeah, like I used to do all this shit. People have no idea. You guys are so spoiled today. Honest to God, you're so spoiled. Like really. When I started tracking food back in 2001, do you know what I had to do? I had to buy a book that was this thick called The Complete Book of Food Counts. And I had to go to the store and be like, I wonder what's in this. Chicken breast, skinless, uncooked. Okay. And then I have to write it down on the paper. And I have to do math. I'm like, okay, well, the serving size is 112 grams. That was 165. 165 divided by 112. This, take that by that factor. This, okay, write it down. And I did that every day. So people complain about, oh, tracking is too hard. Oh, I gotta take my phone and scan something. Oh, like, give me a break. It's fucking easy. If you think that's too hard, I'm sorry. You're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time. Let's see here. I had the complete book of food counts too. Any new features planned for carbon? Absolutely. So what's been happening the last few months is there's I don't want to disclose too much, but there's been a rewrite of the app going on. So basically, we completely rebuilt the app from the back end to make it faster. And what will happen now is once this update is done, it's a monster. Again, we basically redid the entire app to make it to make the code more scalable. Essentially, what will happen is you'll also have access to the app even when you don't have access to an internet connection. So right now, you must be connected to the internet to use it. In the future, you'll be able to use it offline as well. And then once that's done, we plan to start rolling out a ton of new features that we've had in the pipeline. So you guys, I think we're a little bit of a victim of our own success in that when you look at the app, it looks like an app that was produced by a company that's like a multi-million-dollar company. Like, it looks better than MyFitnessPal. It works better than MyFitnessPal, and it does shit that MyFitnessPal doesn't even do, right? The coaching part. MyFitnessPal, worth, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And so people look at ours and they go, well, they must have tons of money be rolling in the dough. And we're like, to be fair, thankfully, we've made a good income. But we're still a small company. We started with no debt. We started with nothing, just our own sweat equity. And so it's not like we could just go out and hire an army of developers to implement this stuff. So this stuff takes time, but we are getting to a point where we're having more people come on full time, and we plan to start doing a lot to the app. So yeah, it's all going to be benefits for you guys, and I think you're going to see a huge difference in improvements in how the app works. So we're going to take an app that's already amazing and make it untouchable. Is your app good for the elderly? Someone just trying to have a better lifestyle. I will tell you this. My mom is 65, going to be 66 in December. My mother, I hope she's not watching, my mother has never met a remote control that could not confuse her. My mom has been using the app for a year and loves it. One of our developers, Chris Bacuza, his mother has used the app and lost 20 pounds on it, loves it. So yes, we have several people, even in our Facebook group, who are in their 60s using the app and loving it. How did you start out your career? This is an interesting question I want to answer. How I started my career. So I was talking to someone about this yesterday, about how people don't really have an appreciation for what it took for me to build the following I have now, to build the businesses I have now. No one actually gets it. So I'm going to give you guys the 5-minute summary here real quick. So I started competing when I was 19 years old in 2001. And that's the time I changed my major to biochemistry. And I started posting on this. I was looking for information about bodybuilding back when I was 19. And I found this message board on a site called bodybuilding.com. And I started posting there. And I got a reputation as somebody who was more than just a meathead, who kind of knew what they were talking about. Now, looking back, I had no fucking idea what I was talking about. But since I was doing a degree in biochemistry, I felt like I did. And so somebody mentioned to me, they're like, you should write for the main site, for bodybuilding.com. And I was like, huh. So I asked about, I emailed them, asked if they wanted me as a writer, and they said yes, and I started writing. I got $25 an article. I got $25 in store credit for every 1,000-word article, and I thought it was the shit. I thought I was king shit. I really did. Not only that, though, so here's what everything you didn't see. When you look at me now and people are like, oh man, so successful. I'm telling you, I'm just now getting paid for all the work I did. So over the next 10 years, I made over 100,000 posts on various bodybuilding message boards that I never got paid for, just helping people, giving advice. 100,000. I estimate, based on my records and my emails, I answered nearly 500,000 emails over the next 15 years for free. I estimate I answered probably 50,000 direct messages. This is all before social media even came up. I did this stuff, and I was on AOL Instant Messenger. Anybody remember AOL Instant Messenger? I used to be on there with like 10 different boxes open. I probably had like 500,000 people on there, helping people from the forums, like putting together programs and all this kind of stuff. I wrote nutrition plans and training plans for free for 5 years before I ever took a dime from somebody. And you have people walking into this industry. You got people talking about like privilege or, oh, you were lucky or all this kind of shit. I worked for years because I loved it for fucking free. Okay. I would say I had a couple breaks. In 2007, I was contacted by a guy who wanted to do, long story, he wanted to do a documentary on bodybuilding, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we hit it off. We ended up pitching a series to bodybuilding.com. It became the most popular series on bodybuilding.com. It's called Inside the Life of a Natural Pro. I started coaching people back in 2005, online coaching people in 2005, before it was a thing. I used to charge $10 a week. It's a joke. And so I did that for years. And I still put out free content. I challenge you to find anybody who's put out as much free content as me in my entire in my career. I did that for free. And now you see the 500,000 followers. But it wouldn't have happened without all that stuff on the back end. So, yeah, when you see somebody who made it or was an overnight success, chances are it was only overnight because you didn't notice. But I've been here for 2 decades. 2 decades of work. That's what has brought me to this point where I'm just now making a really, really, really good living. Now, some people say, well, that's, why did it take you so long? I mean, I was making a good living 10 years ago. I don't want to overplay it. But you just have no idea the volume of work that's out there. But, people always say, you got to have a vision. You got to have a grand plan. I think that's helpful, but I didn't have a vision. I had no fucking idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I loved nutrition and I was going to find a way to make it in the industry. And so I just started. And I think a lot of people, when you hear we got to have a vision, they have this if they can't know exactly what they're going to do, they just don't do anything. What I will tell you is, if you have a passion for this shit, just start. Start somewhere. Do something. That's what I did. Anyway. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to take a Facebook question or a YouTube question. I eat Taco Bell often and see results because I hit my macros. Is regular fast food good behavior or should I stop this? What does healthy mean? So that's one of the problems. You can't define objectively healthy, right? What I would say is, are there better nutritional choices you could make? Sure. But versus what? What if, okay, maybe you're doing that because you're really, really busy and you don't have the time to cook for yourself. And by doing that, it enables you to get other stuff done that actually contributes to an overall kind of healthy lifestyle, right? All these people oh, you need to do organic and cook all yourself at home. Yeah, cool for those of us who work and have kids. Good luck. So it's all about, okay, what are you eating this in place of? Hey, if you're single, you got plenty of time on your hands, I would say, okay, well then cook at home. But if not, you can make fast food part of a healthy diet as long as it is not your entire diet. I want to learn nutrition. What do you recommend? Well, I have courses that I made. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, link in bio. Okay. Stevie says, if you're wondering whether to buy this app or not, do it. I've used Renaissance Periodization, MyFitnessPal, and read books to do it all myself. This guy knows what he's talking about, and this app makes it super easy. Thank you, Stevie. Appreciate that. Damn, dude, AOL. Yeah, AOL. All right, let's see what kind of questions we got in here. Habit change for weight loss, specifically overeating at night. Well, I think one of the things you have to consider is why are you overeating at night, right? Like what is the root cause of that behavior? A lot of, if you're talking about like actual like night binging where you're like sleep eating, and that's a thing, then you may have to institute in the short term things like locks on food or that sort of thing. It just depends on what, but if you're talking about you get home from a long day and you're stressed out, you end up turning to food, that might be something you need to talk to a therapist about, like behavioral therapy. If you're not able to remain mindful, that's a big part of it. Like for me, I have a really good relationship with food in terms of I just understand that everything is a trade-off. And I've overeaten at times, but it's always been, okay, I understand I'm going to eat more than I have allotted for today. I realize and I recognize that there are consequences to that, and I am choosing purposefully to do that. The vast majority of people don't do that. So it's all about the reasons that you're overeating. Follow-up question to the question about fast food. So, sorry, real quick. 1 second. What happened? Why not fast food at every meal? If I hit my macros, I hit my macros, right? Well, it's not. You can hit macros and you'd be fine for body composition, but fiber, especially, is very important for not just digestive health, but prevention of colon cancer, as well as prevention of cardiovascular disease. So I would say if you're not getting enough fiber, you're definitely not optimizing what we would consider health. I was on a cut with carbon, and it recommended 140 grams of protein. I just switched to reverse diet, and it dropped protein to 110 grams. If protein's supposed to be lower in a reverse. Sorry, my nanny is texting me. Everything's okay, by the way. Okay, sorry, dad life. So, God, where was I? Caloric deficits, because the energy deficit increases protein oxidation and protein degradation, we recommend more protein. If you're in a surplus, it decreases protein oxidation, so you can consume less protein. But if you like protein, you can always go to settings, dietary preferences, and adjust your protein. Sassy says, thank you for all you do. I love Carbon and the Workout Builder. Truly grateful for all the information you and your team provide. You're very welcome. What kind of carbs do you recommend, if any? That is such an open-ended question. That's like saying, what should I invest my money in? It depends. Like, can you give me a little bit more nuance to that question? At the end of the day, there are no inherently fattening foods in terms of it's just sources of energy. There are foods that are less satiating and easier to overeat on. But I would say consume the sources of carbohydrate that you enjoy that also help you maintain satiety. Just a comment, been a member for over a year of Carbon Diet Coach, went from maintenance, reverse, conservative fat loss, now to maintenance, now maintaining on a little over 2,000 calories. I love it. Well, we love that you love it. Let's see. I'm a female, over 50 and eating 2,100 calories and lost 20 pounds in 14 weeks. Carbon Diet Coach is amazing. Love hearing that. Grace on Facebook says, just joined your app and I agree it's the best I've tried so far. Yeah, love it. Don't ask me why I just flexed right there. I just felt like it. Sometimes you feel like flexing, sometimes you don't. Well, we appreciate you guys. It means a lot to us. Let's see here. Here's a good one. What made you decide to go towards research versus being a registered dietitian? I'm graduating kinesiology soon, but I'm also debating on going for my master's in nutrition or a physical therapy program. I was not interested in being a registered dietitian because my experience with registered dietitians was that they were more for a clinical side, and I just wasn't interested in clinical work. I just wasn't. I think dietitians are super important. I think people like, I see these, yes, there are dietitians who say dumb things online. There's also a lot of physicians who say really dumb stuff. Like, let's be real. I think dietitians are awesome as a whole. I think that most of them are extremely intelligent and they fill a gap in the knowledge literature that is super important. However, if I'm being real, my focus was on getting jacked as fuck and trying to figure out how to get jacked and lean via science. And so that's what I focused on. So for me, it was PhD. Currently cutting on 3,300 calories on carbon. Nice. Loving carbon. I need to switch to a reverse diet sooner than expected. Do I just change my goal? Yep, just go to settings, coach settings, change goal. Dazzy. Let's see here. More info on fiber. According to Carbon, I'm eating about 30 to 40 grams of fiber a day, but not many good poops. So I have a video coming out today on my YouTube about poop. Basically, the majority of fecal matter is made up of water. Of that, which is the dry component, the majority of it is indigestible matter, about half of it's indigestible matter, and half of it is bacteria from your gut, as well as basically GI cells that have been turned over. So if you want to increase the bulk of your stool, probably the best thing you can do is increase your intake of water and insoluble fiber. So that's your best bet. The research shows that as you increase insoluble fiber, your bulk of your feces goes up by a factor of 2. So for every gram extra of insoluble fiber you eat, you get double that back in your poop. So have some insoluble fiber. Veggies are great. I just hit maintenance phase and the app put me at roughly 3,800 calories. Woo! Really feeling a difference in my training after that first week. Awesome. Just had an unusually high activity week and Carbon Coach wants to increase calories. What do I do if I don't expect to be active and continue to cut? Great question. What I would recommend is if you know for a fact that that was an outlier, I would just click non-compliant. Because in a way, you weren't compliant to the expected energy expenditure. Been using Carbon 6 weeks, the longest time being consistent on a weight loss goal, and I don't feel hungry. I love it. Well, I love that you love it. That's great. I get a lot of, really, truly, a lot of good feelings. I get a lot of satisfaction out of hearing you guys say that you enjoy the app and that it's worked so well for you. So thank you. Facebook, YouTube, you going quiet? What's up? Let's see here. I was having issues with meeting my protein and calories for the past few weeks. I'm non-compliant, but I'm wondering if that affected my metabolism. Now that I'm eating normal, my weight went up 4 pounds. It went up 4 pounds on average, or you were up on a random day by 4 pounds? Hi, I don't know what your username is, Baral, but with threes. Anyway, yes, this will be reposted. Does Carbon offer Indian foods? So here's the deal, guys, with overseas people. So one of the things you guys don't realize is these food databases are thousands of dollars per month per country. So if we wanted to do every country, it would literally cost us maybe close to $1 million. I don't know. So we have databases for USA, UK, Australia, and Canada. Now, there are tons of people who use the app in other countries because the coaching aspect of the app still works. Let me ask you the following question. If you hired a nutrition coach for hundreds of dollars per month, because that's what it would cost you for a good one, would they come with a free tracker? No, they wouldn't. So therefore, you are paying for the coaching component of Carbon, not the tracker. Now, what should you do? Well, you have a few different options. The first one is any generic foods like rice, whitefish, chicken, et cetera, you can still find because those foods are the same regardless. Now, as for foods specific to your country, what you can do is the following. One, if you just enter them in as custom foods, after a week or two, you will have basically all your food library built out. So there's that. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is you can track in another app that has a database in your country, and then you can simply go to your diary, press plus, press the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and then enter in all the macros you've consumed as a quick add. At the end of the day, Carbon will still have all your data, and it takes you an extra 15 seconds. Literally, you are barely being inconvenienced by this. So there you go. Is the Workout Builder an app? No, it is not. I was wondering that too. I'm guessing just a fluctuation. Not going to freak out about it. I'm just going to keep staying on track. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. What I would recommend is if you're not logging your weight every day, that you do that every day. Because if you log it every day, the app will take the average when you're checking in and use that for data. And that is much less prone to random fluctuations. Or Ring Fitbit, how much of it do you trust a calorie count for calories out? I do not, because the research shows that of wearable tracking devices, they overestimate your exercise energy expenditure by 23 to 95%. This is why when people say things like the following, hey, I'm eating in a calorie deficit and not losing weight, they are confused. They believe they're in a calorie deficit. One, because they're probably underestimating how much they're actually consuming. And then two, when they look at their watch or whatever it is, they see, damn it. Do I still have audio? Where's the audio gone on Instagram? Instagram, let me know if that audio is still working. Yeah, I'm still on Facebook. Sorry, guys. So I'm on my phone on Instagram, and if I get a call, a lot of times it messes up my mic. Oh, lost sound on Instagram. Okay. 1 second, Facebook and YouTube. Sorry, guys, I'm just sharing this to Instagram, and then I will get to the Facebook and a couple more questions with you guys. So annoying. Go next. I apologize. Please bear with me on Facebook and YouTube. So annoying. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so this phone, if I'm on a live on Instagram, as soon as I get a phone call, it just screws up my audio. So very annoying. Okay, let me answer a few more questions. Hi, Layne. I first heard of you on the art of manliness. I have trouble sticking with a good diet. Do you know what the success rate is of carbon? How do you empirically define success? At the end of the day, like, here's what it boils down to. You have to find the dietary style that works best for your adherence. But at the end of the day, if you do not have there's a saying, and that is, when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change, that is when we change. So if somebody is not willing to commit to that, like, honestly, sometimes it takes, I was telling somebody this story earlier. There's somebody in my family, and I'm not going to say who, but they really fucked up their life. Like, they were a drug abuser. They were a drug dealer. They went to jail for 18 months. They have now turned around their life. Do you know what happened was? And I asked them this. They said, I just got sick of where I was at. I was sick of where I was at in my life, and I was not going to stand for it anymore. Tony Robbins says, you don't get what you want. You get what you have to have. So you need to decide, regardless of whatever, whether you use our app or not, whatever, you have to decide, I'm sick of whatever it is here. I don't want this. I have to have it, period. I'm not taking no for an answer. Whatever the habits and behaviors are that need to get me to my goal, I'm going to behave in such a way consistently to get there. Understanding you're going to have screw ups and whatnot, but on the whole, I'm going to consistently apply what needs to happen in order for me to get there. And I'm going to behave every day like, if I do these behaviors, I will get to my goal. Because a lot of it is, some of you guys just don't trust the process. You like have this weird belief that, like, oh, anybody who gets results, that's not me because they're lucky in genetics and this and that. Nah. People who apply, people look at me and they're like, oh, you must have great genetics. You know what people told me when I first got into lifting weights after the first 3 years? They said I had crap genetics. I had to hear all the time on the bodybuilding message boards about how crap my genetics were, and I was wasting my time, yada, yada. And now those same people were like, man, you got such good genetics. It's like, no. What was the difference? 20 years of consistent work. Hopefully that answered your question. I love and appreciate your no-nonsense coaching, also what I need. Your and Holly's helpful comments on Instagram have also helped me commit. What is the confidence level in terms of accuracy on the generic items listed in the database? Very high. So our database is Fat Secret. They verify things. MyFitnessPal does not verify stuff. Anybody can add something in there. That's why, like, if you go search, I remember one time I searched for lasagna in MyFitnessPal, and there was one lasagna that was like 30 grams of protein and 5 grams of carbs and like 2 grams of fat. And I'm like, yeah, show me a lasagna that has those macros. Okay. Leslie says, when I change goal, I seem to get funny results when the weight fluctuations are in effect, and it only takes to start and end weight that week. I start entering average weight instead, but it takes a little while to figure it out. So the reason we do that is when you start a goal, if you enter in an average weight from the week before versus an average weight from the first week of that goal, like for example, you might lose, let's say you have a goal to lose a pound a week. Well, you might, by the end of that week, have lost a pound. But it might have been a gradual effect, and the average might only be a half pound. And so the app, if we were doing that, the first week would sense that you are not making progress fast enough, and then you needed to accelerate. So if we changed it to be averages, you would actually, some of you guys would actually be really angry. But we are working on a solution for that particular case where you have a fluctuation, those sorts of things. So we are working on a solution for that. We're aware of it. Thanks. You're my go-to expert for truth about health and fitness. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, guys. I hope you all have a great weekend. If you have not used Carbon yet, highly recommend our app. It's amazing. Go to the link in our, oh, this is an Instagram, never mind. Go to joincarbon.com, check it out. You can read all the great reviews about it. I wish you guys the absolute best. For those of you that are members, thank you so much for your business. Truly appreciate it, and hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful weekend. Till next time.